selected for jury duty, and I want to talk to you guys kind of about how that works. So my experience may differ from your guys' experiences if you've had any previously. The area I live in Minnesota, the county I live in, has 42,000 residents, which isn't a ton. We're not metropolitan at all. Our city has about 20,000 of the residents. And so I have a feeling it's just a little bit different than kind of even what I've seen. When I was looking for jury duty information, I watched a couple of videos, and it was way different than what I had experienced. So if you're from a smaller area, maybe my experience will help you know what to expect. So first, you will get a summons in the mail. I got one in the mail, and it told me I had to fill out a questionnaire. To fill out the questionnaire, they gave us an option to go online, but I didn't realize that before I filled it out and actually mailed it in. I was looking online for something unrelated when I saw that I could have just filled it out online. So in hindsight, read the whole thing. Basically, what happens is the month that you have jury duty, at least in my area, the month that you have jury duty, we do it 1 month at a time. So I was selected for 1 month. And basically every Friday during that month, you have to call in and see if there are any trials going on that next week. After 5 p.m., they update a recording, and you call and it says, hey, we have a trial next Tuesday. Be sure Monday night to call in and see if there is actually going to be a trial or not. Because what happens a lot is people will settle before court. So it could be like the day before or the morning of, and the person just decides, hey, I'd rather settle than risk having a jury decide. So that's why you have to call before. It does make it very difficult to make plans for work, depending on what field you work in. Like I said, I'm managing group homes right now, so it made it really complicated because I have appointments I run and everything, and we don't have a lot of staff to pull from. So it just really makes that a little bit complicated. But every Friday you call in and it says, hey, you need to call back next week, or no, you don't. There was a week I was selected to call back. So I called back the day before the trial was scheduled, and they said, yep, you need to come in. The recording said my number needed to come in, so I guess it wasn't actually a person that was recording, but a person recorded it. I went in the next morning. I got there pretty early. Because I had watched a couple videos, I kind of knew to bring something with me to do, so I brought a book with me and I read a lot of it there. Hopefully I'm saying this right, but I brought 3 Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake, and I just made sure to bring water and stuff that I thought I was going to need. But I found out that they actually provide water there. They have like a cooler of bottles of water, so that's kind of nice that they do want to take care of you while you're there. So you get there and you sign in, and you get paid a little bit, but it's only like $20 a day, so you're definitely not going to get rich off of jury duty. But I will point out that it is way more than they have to pay you. They could just not pay you at all because it's your civic duty to go be a juror. So before complaining about the $20, just know it's better than nothing. They could just pay you nothing. And they also do pay you some sort of mileage. I don't live too far from the courthouse, so my mileage was like $1.08. Again, they don't have to give you anything, so anything they do give you is better than nothing. So everyone shows up, and then we had to watch a introductory video, kind of all about jury duty and what to expect and how we were expected to behave, that sort of thing. It was about 20 minutes long. And then after the video, there was a lot of waiting. So I used this time to read mostly. It was a lot of waiting. Like I said, I got there before 8. I think I actually showed up at like 7:40 because I didn't want to be late. And I was there, it wasn't until probably after 9 when we were called up to court. So at my courthouse, our jury room is in the basement, and our courtroom is on like the 3rd floor is the courtroom we had to go to. Also, you go through like security and everything when you get to the court. I guess I didn't mention that, but you do that also. It's hopefully not a big deal for you. So it was like 9:30, somewhere in there. We finally got to go up to the courtroom, and we all went up there and we were seated. They do the whole thing where you have to rise when the judge comes in, sit back down. The judge goes over a little bit about jury duty and a little bit about what to expect, and then they start the process called voir dire. Voir dire, I think I'm saying that right. It's French. It means to speak the truth. So they have several seats set up. They have the jury box, but then they have other seats in front of it, just extra seats. And they pull a bunch of random people into the seats. I was one of the ones selected to go up right away. They go through and ask questions. So first they ask, like, is serving on jury duty going to cause you any undue hardship? So like there were quite a few like doctors and dentists. They might say yes because I have patients that rely on me. And then the lawyers discussed it and decided, you know what? We have plenty of people here today. It's not going to hurt us if you don't serve on jury duty today. Those people gotta leave. They were just done from there. They also ask like if there's any reason why you wouldn't be able to be unbiased. So like unbiased, like just objective, like you're not favoring one side or the other. There were a couple people that they just seemed really grumpy, like they didn't want to be there. A couple of them gave pretty lame excuses to not be there. And I mean, honestly, like as much as we all probably have better things to do, there are a lot of people who never get the chance to serve on jury duty, and there are a lot of people who really want to. Like my mom, she wants to be a juror so bad. It's like her lifelong dream, and she was pretty jealous that I was called for jury duty and she wasn't, even though it's like a completely random thing. Just keep that in mind. And there's a lot of people that never have to be on jury duty. Like there's some people that they just don't have to do it. They end up aging out before they have to. So it's not a big deal. It's like a day or so of your life. It's your civic duty for living here. It's what you're expected to do. If you were the one on trial, you would probably want a unbiased jury of your peers. If, probably if you were innocent, I guess. I don't know. Either way, I think you'd want an unbiased jury to look over all the evidence and make the decision on, hey, I don't think this is okay. I was on a criminal trial, which I guess is a little bit different than a civil trial, so my experience is also different in that. But I don't know, like just suck it up and do your civic duty. Like don't make stupid reasons to not be there. Sorry, some people just, they make me mad. So then they go through and they ask some questions. They might ask like, have you ever had any interactions with law enforcement before? What are your thoughts on court TV shows? So then you just answer honestly when you're called on. Then eventually, like they have it down to just a certain number of people. They might send you back down to the jury room for a little bit while they make their decisions. Then you go back up. They tell you who they chose, and I was one of the people chosen. Then once you know that you're chosen, it's lunchtime. By then it was almost noon, so already just the selection was half of the day. And we were sent on lunch. And then once we came back from lunch, we were told that we couldn't have our cell phones at all. I had just left mine, in the glove box of my car. As soon as they come back to get you for trial and everything, you are no longer allowed to talk to anybody at all. Like at all. You can't even talk to your fellow jurors about anything involving the case. You're not supposed to run into anybody in the hallway. So we had the smallest elevator in the world, and we had to fit 13 of us and a bailiff. We had to fit all of us in one tiny elevator, and that's how we had to ride up and down every time we had to ride up and down from there on. It was so weird. There were 13 of us because there were 12 jurors and one alternate juror. So we didn't know who the alternate was until the very end. So basically they choose someone in case someone gets sick or there's an emergency and someone needs to leave. They have that extra person there just in case. That person doesn't get to deliberate later. So when you find out who the alternate is, they just get to leave. They don't get any part in the deliberation. But they had to sit through the whole trial. You're there, you have your bottle of water, you have 13 other people in the elevator with you, and it's not a big elevator, it's a small elevator. And you go back up to the third floor for court. So it's a lot of like witnesses being called forward. It's not as exciting as it is on TV at all because the jury gets very, very limited and controlled information. They don't want you to know anything aside from the facts, and that's just really hard because the lawyers might not ask questions that you want to ask. Well, you get very limited information. You have to try to make a decision off of that. It is a decision, mind you, that's going to affect somebody's life, and that makes it a little bit hard. There's also several times where the lawyers stop the trial to go talk to the judge. And when they do that, there's this white noise machine that just makes like static, so you can't hear what they're talking about. Very limited controlled information, but you can take notes. And I took a lot of notes. I recommend it so that when you're deliberating later, you can look back and kind of see everything that was said. However, there was a lot of downtime too. Like I said, the lawyers stopped the trial all the time to go talk to the judge. Several times we were sent back down to the jury room. Well, things came up that, I don't know, they didn't want us to know about. Just lots of downtime. Lots of downtime. So then we finally got done with trial right around, I don't know, 4:30, 5 o'clock. And we had to go back down to the jury room, and we deliberated for maybe an hour. I would say we'd probably give it a good solid hour of deliberation, just because, like I said, you're making decisions that affects other people's lives. So it's important that you have all of the facts and that you know that everyone's in agreement, basically. So we really discussed it, and we discussed it thoroughly, and we looked up definitions of things. We had a printout they gave us that had some definitions that we could look at, and we really looked at those and tried to make the best decision that we could. And we gave it, a good hour, and then we let them know that, hey, we're ready to go back up. And we also had to choose a foreman. Nobody really wanted to volunteer, so we all volunteered someone. we volunteered someone, and he had to do it. So yeah, so we go back up to the courtroom after they're ready, which can take a while. By the way, I think it took them a good half hour before they were back up in there and ready for us. You go back up, and then your foreman, hands a piece of paper that you guys wrote your verdict on. He hands a piece of paper to the bailiff that gives to the recorder, and she reads it. I'm sorry, I don't know all of the technical names of everybody. And then the lawyers can decide if they want to do a poll of the jury or not, which means that they just go through and they ask each person if they agree, and then you're done, then you leave. You don't really see what happens from there. But once you are released, once you get to leave, then you can go and Google to your heart's content and know, everything else, which is nice because you can't look up the trial ahead of time. So you literally don't do it. Don't look up the trial ahead of time. I learned that watching a video before I had to go in for court. Do not go look anything up ahead of time. You're not supposed to know. They really want to control the information that you get if you're a juror, if you're selected. So just keep that in mind. Luckily, the trial I had was only one day. It wasn't a big deal. However, that doesn't release you from the rest of the month, though, I found out. So then every single Friday night, you still have to call for the remainder of the month. And I did get called back one other time, but the person that the court trial was for didn't show up, so they let us go. They just rescheduled that person's court hearing and they let us go. So it doesn't being on a jury doesn't excuse you from having to be on another jury, unfortunately, as far as just time constraints go. So that was my experience being on a jury. What was your experience like? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really interested to know how your area differs than mine and how they handle jury duty. It'd be really interesting to know. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. However, my videos are hopefully going to be more like writing related type things. So keep that in mind if you're only here for jury duty information, that my other videos probably won't revolve around jury duty. But if you want to see more from me, then subscribe. All right. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great day. Bye. How do you look at the camera and talk? Wait, first of all, can we talk about this? How weird this is. I am literally staring into a black abyss of a lens trying to talk to you. And it's the weirdest thing. If I look at you and I look up at Canon, like the words Canon, it's just such a weird thing. And I'm trying so hard to get used to it. So if you yourself have made any YouTube videos, please comment down below and tell me how you were able to be comfortable in front of the camera. And I don't know if it's that I'm not comfortable in front of the camera, because I can talk to people, right? Like, I can talk to people. My whole job right now is managing a group home where you know, I'm talking to people all day. Prior to that, I was in retail management, which involved a ton of talking to people. So it's not that I can't talk to people, it's that I'm having trouble in this format. So just in the lens, it's just a black circle of nothingness, and it's just a little difficult for me to figure out how to be comfortable and where I'm supposed to look. And I know I'm supposed to look into the lens, but that's weird. So I try to look at the words above it, and that feels weird. And I'm starting to go on this rant about filming, but please help me out. Let me know, what do I need to do? What will make me more comfortable? Thank you.